CICA Museum for this invitation, and it's my great honor to be here to present my personal project, which is Sci-Fi Gallery New York, cinematic culture landmark. First, I want to give us guys a little bit about myself. So I am an architecture designer. My name is Zhuo. I also go by Steven. Um, and currently, I'm an architecture designer and artist currently based in the United States. I received my professional degree education through a combination of a rigorous academic training and international exposure. Over the past several years, I've worked at multiple architecture firms in the US, where I've been involved in the design of commercial, residential, and educational buildings, including large-scale university housing, urban developments. In my professional practice, architecture is often required to be, I would say, pragmatic, responding to codes, budgets, schedules, and performance metrics. I enjoy this rigor, and I believe strongly in architecture as a service to society. However, alongside my professional work, I also maintain an independent creative practice. So this personal work kind of allows me to step outside conventional constraints and test speculative ideas that sit at the intersection of architecture, cinema, science fiction, digital technology, and cultural narrative. So many of these explorations ask just a simple question, I think. What happens when architecture is no longer only a building, but also a story, a symbol, or a cinematic device? So several of these experiment projects have been recognized by some international or national design awards, but more importantly, these serve as I think they serve as laboratories, spaces where I can explore architecture ideas that may later influence real built environments. So yeah, so page. Um, so first, I want to talk a little about design philosophy, kind of my design philosophy, and talk about postmodernism. Uh, I don't know whether you have heard of that words. So um, when we speak about postmodernism architecture, we often associate it with very specific visual outcomes. So like iconic skyscrapers, expressive forms, or rigid geometric compositions. But in my view, postmodernism is not a style. I think it is a condition. It is a condition that allows architecture to observe multiple meanings, references, and contradictions at the same time. Postmodernism, postmodern architecture can be ordered or chaotic, monumental or hidden, literal or abstract. It can be playful, fragmented, cinematic, and even slightly unsettling. So this kind of openness is what makes postmodernism relevant today, I think. Personally, I'm especially drawn to two architecture territories. First one is science fiction culture, and the second is museum architecture. Science fiction is not only about the future, it is about the present, view through exaggeration and imagination, and it reflects societal anxiety, technological desire, and cultural identity. So museums, on the other hand, are spaces where narratives are curated, staged, and experienced. So they are not neutral containers; they are storytellers. Museum. When these two territories intersect, architecture becomes more than a backdrop; it becomes an active narrative device. So this is why New York feels like the perfect ground for this kind of exploration. And New York is arguably the most diverse and layered city in the United States, culturally, historically, and architecturally. It is also deeply cinematic. Films, especially science fiction films, have repeatedly used New York as a stage to imagine alternative realities. And one of those films is kind of Man, this movie, Man in Black 3. I think you guys all know it. So when I discovered that seemingly anomalous infrastructure structure in Lower Manhattan was used as a secret base interest in the film, it immediately captured my attention. This moment where ordinary urban infrastructure intersects with fiction imagination became the conceptual seed of this project. So this building, which is a ventilation tower in Lower Manhattan, actually acts as like an entrance of the secret base of that movie, which is super interesting. You can go back to that movie too. There's a clip of that. So all right, okay. So this project is located at 504 Battery Place, New York, 10004, at the southern edge of Manhattan. The existing structure is a ventilation tower serving an underground vehicular tunnel. In its current state, it is purely infrastructural, closed, opaque, and disconnected from public life. Rather than replacing or monumentalizing it, my proposal is to just to inhabit it, transforming it into a sci-fi gallery, a cultural landmark that operates quietly yet powerfully within the city. Importantly, the project fully preserves the original ventilation system and does not interfere with the underground traffic tunnel. The intervention is surgical rather than invasive, respecting the site's technical constraints while reimagining its cultural potential. And then I want to talk a little about my kind of spatial method, how this like building space generated. So the architecture form is generated through a method I call the anamorphosis principle, which follows 5 key steps. So first, we need to have a prototype, then do a projection, next observe it, then extract that image, then you the final step is just to make abstract into a real physical space. So the prototype is I chose is a surveillance camera, a recurring symbol in science fiction culture, and also there are a lot in the site. So surveillance represents control, observation, fear, and power, but also curiosity and perception. Sci-fi imagery is projected onto virtual monitoring devices through controlled observation points. This projection then distorted, extracted, and abstracted into spatial planes. From this process, the architecture emerged not as a conventional form, but as a spatial translation of cinematic perception. So this method automatically generates 3 spherical interior spaces, each derived from different projection logics. These spheres are connected by a circulation system and then functions as both in movement and narrative transition. So you can see we have in the project we have 3 kind of topics, themes of these spaces. The first one is called Universe and Planet. Uh, in this gallery, basically explores cosmic scale, celestial bodies, planetary systems, and vastness of space. Light and surface abstraction create an immersive environment where visitors lose their sense of orientation, echoing humanity's eternal fascination of the unknown universe. And the second space is called digital technical. So here the focus shifts to technology, data, and artificial intelligence. Projected patterns blur the boundary between physical space and digital imagery, questioning where reality ends and simulation begins. And the third space is called cyclic and infinity. This final gallery deals with time, loops, repetition, and infinity. The spherical geometry reinforces a sense of endless movement, reflecting science fiction's obsession with time travel, parallel worlds, and internal return. So together, these 3 spaces form a narrative sequence, not unlike acts in a film. Uh, so so you can see this is the buildings, the section of the project, how it looks like, uh, and you can still see the tunnel and the ventilation system. This is just like a fan cut. Um, the last point I want to mention is the kind of the exterior design of this building. So the exterior of this building remains deliberately close and enigmatic. From the city, it does not reveal its interior. This contrast is intentional. So the moment visitors step inside, then transition from the familiar reality of New York into a controlled cinematic environment, the building does not shout; it whispers, inviting curiosity. So through this project, I wanted to explore how architecture can operate simultaneously, simultaneously as infrastructure, culture, artifact, and cinematic narrative. By reinterpreting an existing ventilation tower, the project suggests that future cultural landmarks do not always need to be iconic objects. Sometimes they can emerge quietly, embedded within the city's overlooked spaces. In a city as layered as New York, architecture still, I think, has room to imagine new futures, new stories, and new ways of seeing. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.